Hi, my name is Maria and welcome to my channel MH Books, and this is going to be filmed extremely quickly, hopefully. I was tagged by Sean the Book Maniac in the N for Novella alphabet soup tag. The alphabet soup tag works in that there's a different letter theme for each tag. It started off with A, it's gone to N. There will be different rounds of the tag going through. Everybody is tagged in it before we start. That's from me, that's also from Sean, it's part of Sean's rules. I will be listing names near the end. If you don't feel like doing it, please don't. If you want to do it, please do. There may be some newbies probably in those names because I'm taking them from people who've been commenting. And I'll probably be the last 5 or 6 commenters on this, and I'll probably go through quite quick so the names will be listed as well. And as I have to go to Friday night dinner, let's just crack on with these questions. The questions are below in the show notes. Is there anything I've forgotten before I started? I don't know because I've forgotten it. Excellent. I'm going to move you just a little bit this way, sorry. Yeah. I hope it doesn't look like those bookshelves are going to fall on top of you. I swear they're not. They might fall on me. Not going to fall on you. We hope. Laptop is down there as per usual. This is a strange angle to film at. I don't think I'll be doing it again. But let's just crack on as I've already said. First question. And as for Novella, I can remember the first question off by heart. Congratulations, Maria. You can remember one thing. And it's for Novella. It's up here. Ooh. Yes. This is a hallway, which is the problem. There's not an awful lot of room between me and you. Yeah, different filming location next time, or back to the old angle here. So, the first thing about the novella question was, I have not read a novella this year. Nothing that could be classified as short enough as being novella, so I had to go back to last year. And around about the same time last year, I read 2 novellas. One was the Persephone edition of the Victorian Chaise-Longue by Marghanita Laski. And bad location. Obviously bought it in the Persephone shop because I have the bookmark. I do like to show off the end papers. They are lovely in these editions. This book, I suppose, is it's written in the 1980s, if I remember correctly. It's set in the late 1940s, 1950s. It's about a woman who's recovering from tuberculosis. She's bought a Victorian Chaise-Longue and she falls asleep in it. She wakes up in in a Victorian lady's body, and she has to find out what's happened to that lady and see can she escape. It's very claustrophobic. You feel like you're caught up in this body and you can't get out of this time period either. It's very much to what is she really in this person's body? Is this person gone, or was she really this person in the past? Asks an awful lot of questions for a very short novella. Can't really talk more than that about it without giving away the plot. Very disjarring, very good read though. I think it was about a 4 out of 5 star if I remember correctly. The other one I read about the same time, I'll link the little 3 or 4 minute review I had at the time for it, because I read it the day it came out, Stephen King's Elevation. A short novella on what it would be like if you just got lighter every day, not thinner, lighter. And what it would be like, and it's also a story about a man who doesn't quite like his neighbour, or maybe she doesn't like him. And miscommunications between neighbours, and yeah, it could have done some more character development between the 2 neighbours in this story. They suddenly become friends in it, which was a bit jarring. I'm sorry, that was a spoiler, but still recommended. I don't think it's that much of a spoiler because there's nowhere else to go with the story. So I should put these down here, which is the problem with filming here, is I have to bend an awful lot. But I always did anyway. We will find a place one day in this apartment. The problem is there's too many books. It's getting rid of, you know, my space. Okay, I think N is for the name now, isn't it? Is the next piece of the question. No, N is for neighbour, and I was just talking about neighbours. So a book about neighbours, because seemingly books are about romantic relationships. Avoid them a lot. Don't particularly like romance. Trouble with Goats and Sheep is a booktube darling. Don't think I need to review this much here. It's about two little girls trying to solve a problem in their cul-de-sac over the summer of 1976, one of the hottest in record in Britain and also in Ireland, us being close to each other. There's a little cul-de-sac they live on. They're trying to solve the mystery of why one of their neighbours has gone missing. They're misinterpreting what the adults say. The adults have done, the neighbours have all done something terrible in the past. Very much a book about neighbours. Another book, which is Pagford, I think it's based, is the name of the town, is it? Yeah, Pagford. J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy. Not loved by all. But loved. But also, who loves it, loves it. There's a vacancy in the parish council. It's about Pagford, a town of neighbours that are both working class and middle class. And it's a very realistic portrayal of these kind of characters in a small English town. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So very, very strong books on neighbours. Question number 3. This is such a strange angle, and you get my hair needs a haircut badly. Okay, N is for name. Okay, so the writer's first and last name can begin with N. Surprisingly difficult to find people who have N in their name. And then you have to try and find people you like. So the ones I have, I'll stop doing 2 for all these questions because this is getting a bit ridiculous. But if you like horror genre, I loved Banquet for the Damned. There's a good reason for that. It's set in the University of St Andrews. St Andrews is a little teeny tiny hot town in Scotland, 55 miles north of Edinburgh. And we only had 3 streets, and most of them were university people. So this is about university students go missing and the main paranormal reasons for it. And Nevill writes very well about male-male relationships and friendships. He's very strong on that. This, I think, was his first novel. It was written while he was doing his master's in creative writing in the University of St Andrews, which is why it's so strongly set there. If you're there, you will love this book. If you like the paranormal, you will love this book. If you don't love the paranormal, you're not going to like this book. And The Closet of Savage Mementos by Nuala ní Cuinher, or Cuinher. Not incredibly well pronounced. My Irish is still very much my second language. This is also has a Scottish theme. It's about a Dublin woman. Her boyfriend dies and she moves to the Highlands of Scotland for a while she's coping with the grieving process. I've not read this one. The back of the book, which says it's drawn directly from the author's own experiences and explores heartbreak, loss, motherhood and adoption in a gripping narrative and the same expressive, emotive and exciting prose we've come to expect from Nuala ní Cuinher, or Cuinher. Her, as in her, that's the sound. And Closet of Savage Mementos. So this is not one I've read, but one I'm looking forward to by somebody whose name begins with N. And again, a little bit more literary fiction for those who prefer that. Because I have such wide-ranging tastes, I always find it very hard because I like a lot of stuff, but they're all very different from each other. They don't really compare. N is for nuptials. Right, I have to look up this. Insert picture here, future Maria, please. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was DNF'd. No, sorry, it was bailed on by the wonderful and very fickle Sean the Book Maniac, because he bails at, I just remember very specifically, he bails at the scene where she has oral sex with a producer, I think it is. But the book is actually about her 7 weddings, but emerging from this story is who is the true love of her life and who is her best friend, and that emerges through the story. So which is the purpose of it. And yeah, it was a tale very well told, but you have to read it to the end, Sean. You have to read it to the end. It's not really not your type of book anyway, so it's okay, but you'd still have to read it to the end. There was no more of that kind of stuff happening in it. It was a little more. Evelyn Hugo, by the way, this is a very popular book. Most people know that or have already read it, but she's not a likable character. She says she's not a likable character in the beginning, but you're still with her. Next question. Such an angle. This is such an angle. All right. I know you're poor baby. Sorry, the budgies are poor babies. I know. I haven't given them the receipt yet. Sorry. This is them crying for the receipt. Not aging well. N is for not aging well. A book you like less than when you read it. I couldn't remember. I know there's some books that I've actually brought down the ratings on in Goodreads afterwards when I've reflected on it, but I couldn't remember one that I did it on. So what I did instead for this question was a book that I reread and less likely liked it less for the reread. And so one that was a favourite, and actually there's 2 that I've read recently that used to be favourites, that were classics, were my favourites, which I'm not as liking as much as an adult. I did read them as an adult. I only read them as children, as a child. I wasn't children, I was only 1. We don't admit to our multiple personalities on camera. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I'm going to say which Bronte wrote that one. So The Secret Garden was a book that I still like. It's a book I still like, but it was a book I used to immerse myself in and dream in it and be part of. And just didn't quite make it this time during its recent reread. Similarly for Jane Eyre, felt very overhyped. She felt like a teenager when she was a teenager. She wrote that when she was a teenager, didn't she? It felt like that. A little bit overhyped, a little bit too much. Cynical. I may doesn't like romances as much, or at all. So Jane Eyre was a little bit doomed. But it was still a 4 or 5. She's still extremely good gothic read, but a little bit doomed because. Sorry. Okay, next question. Oh, this tag is gonna be so long. Okay, N is for N, a book title with a lot of N's. And that was difficult. It was difficult to find a book title with a lot of N's because there's a lot of books to check through. So the one I found that had 4 N's is here. It might be on my non-fiction November TBR. I have not decided this yet. Turning Lessons from Swimming Berlin's Lakes is a memoir of a woman who goes to Berlin and swims the 52 lakes over the course of a year, I believe. Sometimes her own, sometimes with other people. In the summer, multiple lakes. In the winter, it's hard enough to get to one lake. And her thoughts and things. This is highly, highly loved by my Goodreads friends. Absolutely adore this book. And that's all I know about it. So when I do get to it, knowing my Goodreads friends, I will love it. Okay, next question. Excellent. I'm allowed to go to the next question. Thanks. N is not sure. Book you keep changing your mind about whether you want to read or not. I have to admit to this one. Okay. I am going to be doing a whole series, not whole series. I'm going to be doing reading based on Dublin next month in September. Because it feeds into my writing on how other people convey a sense of place. So it's going to be at least 4 very different authors setting their books in Dublin, 2 contemporary, 2 historical fictions. But a book I have never read, and I really have to, is James Joyce's The Dubliners. I've been put off this because my sister hated it as a literary student. Now, it might have been Ulysses she hated. For some reason in my head I have stuck she hated Dubliners. And I decided, without having read any of it, that I hate it. But I really want to read this one, which is Dubliners 100, which has people like Donal Ryan and John Boyle. Sorry, I'm not sure where that cut you off. Running out batteries here. So it has people like Donal Ryan and John Boyle. And let me see, female writer, which you probably have heard of, Emer McBride. And they retell the Dubliner stories. So I have to really read James Joyce's first in order to get value out of the retelling of these stories. So that's one I keep going back and forth. And I'm making myself read this one first. So yeah, it's problematic. N is for nitpick. And you're supposed to take something about the literary world. I just have this nitpick in my head. And this is more about me and not about anybody else. I still don't know what poetry is. Sometimes I write things and I think they're prose and I'm told that they're poetry. And other times I write what I thought was poetry. Well, once I wrote what I thought was poetry and I was told that was prose. So I'm confused about poetry. It's a problem I plan to solve. I'm doing a workshop in November to see, can I work out what it is? It is bugging me. I don't know where poetry and prose start and stop. I know grief is a thing with feathers, was a mixture of both, and I got that. Just don't seem to know it when I write. So that's my nitpick for about me. There's nothing else at the moment that's driving me crazy about literary things. Something will probably hit me tomorrow and I kind of go, ugh, these are all annoying me. Not using bookmarks or something, whatever it is. So N is for not nitpick, some small literary writing or book related thing that drives you around the bend. That's the actual prompt for those who are looking for the prompts. So N is for next to nothing, a book you read as an adult and you can barely remember a blessed thing about. Alright, okay. I went through my Goodreads from the last couple of years, and the one I couldn't remember anything about it's gone missing. That's why I can't remember it. It's gone. It's really gone. Holy moly. And now I can't remember anything about it. Not my fault. Can't believe it went though. Okay, it's gone. And I don't remember what the book is. Excellent. Best answer to that question. Oh, I don't have the book. It's Iris Murdoch's The Severed Head. Insert again, Fuchsia Maria. Gosh, give yourself lots of work to do. The Severed Head I read about 4 years ago for our writing class. And I can't even remember why it was on the course. We had to read it because I think it was good for dialogue. And I remember it something about there was a husband and a wife and they weren't getting on too well. And the husband was having some affair with this really younger woman. That's about it. That's my whole recollection of the whole book. and I'm supposed to have read it properly. So that's my one, Next to Nothing. N is for New Zealand. Excellent. So yeah, this is one where you look for a book or writer you'd like to read from there, and find out about one if needs be. It'll be fun. And so I went on to Goodreads, or Googled Goodreads, New Zealand authors, and the top author I actually acquired about a month ago. It's a little bit battered. It's from a charity shop. See, the pages are falling out. But I've wanted to read it since I joined Goodreads. It recommended it to me. And that is The Bone People by Keri Hulme. And as I haven't read it yet, we read a little bit about, I think it was the Times, Financial Times. The trouble with being old is you have to focus your glasses. So I'm actually going to read this like this because it's easier for me to read like this. So I'm going to reread this bit. Okay, so set on that, this is the New York Times book reviewer blurb on the back. So set on the harsh South Island beaches of New Zealand, bound in merry myths and entwined with Christian symbols, Miss Hume's provocative novel summons power with words as a conjure spell. She casts her magic on three fiercely unique characters, but reminds us that we, like them, are nothing more than people, and that in a sense we are all cannibals, compelled to consume the gift of love, which demands for perfection. Which demands for perfection. So, The Bone People by Keri Hulme is my book from New Zealand. And my pile of books is about to fall. We might hear a clatter in a second. N is for Nodding Off, a mind-numbingly boring book. You're going to kill me. Most people love this. I'm sorry, I just battered you. Most people love this. I'm really sorry. But I really, really, really tried to like it. I was leading a group read at the time. This is my tab still in this copy. Essex, Sarah Perry. I'm so sorry I don't like it. I really upset somebody by not liking it. And not Sarah Perry, because I'm sure Sarah Perry kind of went, I'm listed for loads of rewards and at the time and blah, 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 blah. And I have special Waterstones editions with lovely ribbons. So the hell with you and your opinions. But I really found myself unable to relate to these characters. I felt like I was looking at this really good piece of historical fiction under glass, like in a museum. I couldn't get at it. Just couldn't get at it. Absolutely no emotive effects whatsoever. Not connecting to this scenery. Do not, even when I look at her reading from this book, I'm not feeling anything for it. It's not doing it for me. So I read it to the end. It's the only one I can say. Most things I would DNF, I didn't like them. I was harsh for the star rating. I only gave it 2. It's actually probably 3 because it's actually extremely well written. Just because I don't like it, but it severely pissed me off as a book. Not the writer. The writer is good. I'm not saying she's not good. I'm not saying everybody else, not everybody else, majority of people love her, so it is definitely me, not her, and probably not the book, it's me. N is for Nodding Off, and N is for next. The next book you're going to read. Now my laptop's going to go falling because it was leaning on things too. Okay, the next book I'm going to read, my TBR is up for the month. I am reading those books. Currently, Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead and Wakenhurst. So that's my wit and my horror books going on coincidingly. But I will be picking up something that's not appearing in that TBR that's already filmed and up, and that's Haunted Dublin. This is actually just for a small piece. It's a library copy, it's a bit battered, but a research for my September reads. I want to actually do a bit of research on a background of the books, and surprisingly now the book that This is for, it's not one of the horror books, it's a Dublin book, but it's based on an old legend in Dublin, and it's just covered very well in these kind of books about the area and why this area was important. So this little piece of history research for a TBR that's going to be filmed, and I might actually do a little bit of talking from that location, which is why I wanted to make sure that I was happy with the historical background and the thing. And again, always covered, sometimes the ghost stories tell the local histories better. Maybe you want to hear about grave robbing, go on a ghost tour in either Edinburgh or Dublin, probably London. You know, we were big, especially Irish, in grave robbing, but it's, you know, medical fact. How else were they going to get the cadavers, you know? So yeah. Okay, the last bit. So everybody is tagged, as already said. But I'm going to list a few people. These are just me looking at, so this is just because you just suddenly came up, okay? So people who just have recently commented are Steve Worman, I read past my bedtime, or I read past my bedtime. I keep getting confused as to which way to do your name, Mrs. Silja, Written in Blood. Silja, I hope I got your name pronounced right too. Written in Blood, Paul Reid's book, The Sampler Girl. Okay. You're all specifically tapped. You're all tapped. I'm just getting a message saying, am I coming for dinner? So I have to go now. So I hope whatever you're reading, that you're enjoying it. And please, if you want to do this tag, please do mention it in the comments. Mention it even if you don't want to, if there were some of the questions that you would have liked to answer. The text message is really you can see me kind of going, I answer that text message, I'm almost out of battery. So I hope whatever you're reading that you're enjoying it, and bye for now.